welcome to Blue Jays Today, where today we always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And today, guys, the Blue Jays decided that they are going to give a lot of dudes some invitations to spring training. The key main dude being Rickey freaking Tiedemann. We got to talk about it. We got to break it down. Before we do, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts about this down below. Let's pull up that list so everybody can see. Take a look here, guys, and we're not going to list off every single one. We'll just leave that on the screen for a little while so you guys can take a look and see. First, just impressions off the top here. This is a very positional based list, you know,
like not positional player, but starting pitching, relief pitching.
Exactly. Like it feels like, holy crap, like we are here for a mission, and that is to find some diamonds in the rough in potentially our rotation or potentially the bullpen at some point in this season.
For sure. I mean, if you take a look at the Toronto Blue Jays position players, they're pretty much set in stone.
They're
like the bench
in,
is locked in. Yeah, you do need to look for a catcher, and yeah, you do need to look for an outfielder, but everybody else, all the pitchers on the Blue Jays, your job is not safe, folks. You gotta protect that job by doing well this spring training, because these guys might be coming after you.
Exactly, and I mean, I cannot guarantee you who it's gonna be or when it's gonna happen, but we will absolutely see at least one or two of these people on the Toronto Blue Jays, maybe even on opening day, like on the opening day roster.
For sure.
But at the very least, like throughout the season, these guys are gonna be coming, they're gonna be going, so become familiar with these names, guys, because we're definitely not done with them. Obviously, the name that probably a lot of you are already familiar with is the Toronto Blue Jays' top prospect, Rickey Tiedemann, getting shown a little bit of respect this year, being placed 32 on the top 100 MLB top prospects.
I'm not surprised, guys. I am literally not surprised. Made a video breaking this down a little bit earlier in the offseason. Rickey Tiedemann is an absolute gem, and he's legit, and he's deservingly so at that 32nd spot because of what you saw he did last year. He only had one season in the minor leagues, but he quickly climbed from low single A up to double A, and he did not stop dominating. You know, overall last season, a 2.17 ERA. The whip is so beautiful, 0.864. And what's even more beautiful is that strikeout percentage. You know, the strikeout per nine, 13.4. There's nothing you don't love about Rickey Tiedemann, and especially for the Blue Jays, just a little cherry on top. He's a lefty pitcher, so it gives you some options in that rotation.
Like literally everything there, there are no red flags. You know, you're checking all of the boxes with Rickey Tiedemann, everything you want to see, and especially when you're talking about a kid who is 19 years old, right? He's 19 years old. So
coming into year 20, which
literally,
is,
right? It's like barely had any experience at all. I was looking at, you know, some of our other top pitching prospects before, like Aaron Sanchez and Marcus Stroman, Alek Manoah, for instance. All of these guys, like, they didn't come out for years after that. Yeah. And we're just starting to flirt with the idea of potentially Rickey Tiedemann, like, coming to the Blue Jays. You know, like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but he's coming to spring training, and who knows?
I mean, I think there's a high chance. I know there's a high chance he will not crack the opening day roster unless something devastating happens, like Mitch White goes down with an injury, Kikuchi down with an injury, and he's exploding in spring training. He looks ready, and all the staff saying he looks ready. That's the only way this guy cracks opening day roster. But right now, I think you gotta love where Rickey Tiedemann sits. Comparing him to Alek Manoah, though, I mean, you were talking about year 19, 20. Like, Alek Manoah, he wasn't even in the big leagues. He was in NCAA at 21. He was in some other college ball at 20. Like, this guy was just learning how to pitch in a professional manner at his age of 19, 20. So the fact that we got this guy just on the birth of a major league appearance, that's got to be something special.
Exactly, man. And I'm so excited to watch him play among other professionals, right? Like, this is going to be probably his first chance to really get like a one-on-one with John Schneider, with the pitching coaches, with all of those guys. They can see him, they can go, okay, this is what we can work with, this is what he needs to change around, all of that stuff, and he is going to have an opportunity to hopefully throw against some other professional big league players at some point. So watching him in spring training is going to be phenomenal.
Absolutely.
You're talking about, you know, potentially, you know, not cracking the opening day roster, but coming up at some point. What's the likelihood of that? What needs to happen? And when do you think something like that could go down, if it does?
Right. Well, first of all, the most likely scenario, other than Kikuchi going down with an injury and White going down with an injury, the most likely scenario, folks, is that come around June, July, you've tried Kikuchi in that fifth spot. It's not working. You've tried White out now in the fifth spot. It's not working. And then maybe there's an injury up top, like a Barrios, a Bassett, hopefully not, a Gosman or a Manoah, but there's an injury there. There's a demand there. Now a spot opens up. And then you look down in AAA or AA, wherever they decide to put Rickey Tiedemann after spring training.
Shout out to
who just subscribed. But you look down in the minor leagues and you see him dominating exactly like he's doing, low 2, even maybe a high 1.
Possibly.
I think you must bring him up in July or June around the trade deadline.
Just remind me right now, because I know that he'd probably be in a similar situation with Guerrero, where it's like you don't want to start the clock too early, sort of thing.
Right.
Because we're thinking like Rickey Tiedemann could become maybe the next Alek Manoah, like a stud in this rotation. When did we bring up Guerrero? Like, do you remember what month that was?
Around the end of April.
Around the end of April. Okay, so it's like so we probably should be good in that regard.
Yeah.
I can guarantee 100% it will not be before then.
No.
Because I know with a guy like this, it's like, especially considering the fact that it's like a lot of our younger dudes are going to need to get paid. We want young elites like this, cheap beat. Give it to me for no money, baby. Because if he starts coming up and dominating in the majors, we need that additional year. As much as he's probably going to hate us for it, I don't give a crap. Dude. You need to come up, and you need to be cheap, and you need to be good for the Blue Jays.
I hear you. What's a good sign, though, is that we do have this guy available. You have Alek Manoah in a couple years going to be coming around those arbitrations. It's good to keep the cycle of young pitchers coming through. We have a bunch of guys signed long-term top-heavy, but this is just a great sign for sustainability.
100%, dude. And, I feel like this guy is starting to get to the level of Nate Pearson hype when Nate Pearson came up. And hopefully, other shoe drops this time, doesn't end the way that, and not saying Nate Pearson's story is over.
For sure.
But, this guy has all the makings of a person who can dominate and can also do it sustainably. Yeah. Which is something that Nate Pearson was not capable of doing.
Yeah, well, let's cross our fingers, guys, and hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. Now, Rickey Tiedemann obviously steals the show for sure in terms of all these prospects, these non-roster invites coming up to spring training. Yep. But there's also other guys on this list that we also want to shine some light on.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You definitely want to take note of these guys. You might not see them on the Blue Jays this year. Right. I don't know. But they are going to be part of that mix, part of that conversation for a while. They might even be part of trade conversations if they start doing really well in the minor leagues, and who knows, maybe we need to flip somebody for something come trade deadline. Right. First guy that we want to look at here, and correct me if I'm mispronouncing his last name here, but Sem Roberts, I'm just assuming that's how you say it. This guy is 21 years old. He's from the Netherlands, which you never see.
Never. That was the first thing that jumped out to me. I'm like, wow.
I love that. That's just such a unique calling card there. Yeah. But this guy is absolutely filthy, guys. He's 21 years old, so just 1 year older than Tiedemann. He had a great year down in the minors last year, and a ton of innings, which is just good to see, right? This is a big sample size, not just a small sample size. This is like a large sample size that he dominated.
Yeah, for sure. Especially as a 20-year-old. We've heard the conversations with Alek Manoah, how when he was 23, 24, everyone was worried about the innings. No problem. Throws up 196 last year. But the fact that you're seeing at 20 years old 111, that's a good sign. He can really build off that. And hey, look, single A, double A, I guess it's lower, but still a 3.23 ERA. And when you see his jump to double A, in the short sample size, not much of a difference in terms of the ERA.
Still did pretty well.
Something he's definitely not going to come up this year. I would be shocked to see this guy come up this year, but this is maybe in 2 years, 3 years, maybe he hits another level and he breaks into the big leagues.
100%, dude. And he was, as far as last year anyways, they've manipulated them, they're changing them, they haven't updated it yet, but last year he was our 6th ranked overall prospect in the Blue Jays system. So definitely not a scrub here. Definitely not a scrub. Could come up at some point and also might be involved in trade packages. Similarly to him, ranked 7 last year was Hayden Younger. This is an American boy, 1 year older, 22 years old. You want to look out for this guy. Now, apparently with this dude, his ERA not as flashy. Right. The strikeout numbers, though, really good on this guy. He gets the Ks, and the problem with him is just the command, the control and the command, not consistent enough yet. Yeah.
This is definitely a guy that you could see come up soon. He is getting a little bit higher. He obviously hit AAA last year, so he's one of those guys that could be used as a taxi squad kind of guy. Exactly. Bring him in if there's an injury. So I'm not saying I'm not high on him. I need to see a little bit more, and that's something to really pay pay attention for this spring training. If he gets some innings, gets some good work in, maybe he comes jumping on that taxi squad.
Agreed, dude. Next dude here, Junior Fernandez, and this one's actually really interesting. Not a prospect at all, has had major league experience, and I really do think that this guy actually has a legitimate shot. If he puts up in spring training, like he has a really good spring training, there's a shot that he might be on the opening day team. It is possible.
100%. Look, the Blue Jays are trying to get faster in that bullpen, and this guy's nothing but heat. I mean, look at the fastball velocity in the 98th percentile, 99 average fastball. I mean, if this guy can find some sort of command and consistency, he's 100% going to make the opening day roster, especially if there's an injury, for sure. I mean, look, the ERA, he's bounced around from St. Louis to Pittsburgh, and you know when you get bounced around to Pittsburgh and don't make Pittsburgh again, like you're not really doing that well. But look, I mean, there's a chance. There's an absolute chance. Look at that ERA.
Now,
not bad.
big red flag with this guy is that the whip has been consistently really bad throughout his career.
Really bad.
You gotta hope that with age comes a little bit more experience, comes a little bit more control, right? He's gonna be 26 this year. I'm hoping that we can start to just command that fastball a little bit more. Maybe working with the coaches, working with our pitching staff. All of that gives him a little bit of a step up. Watch this dude, though. I do expect that he's going to be on the Major League team at some point.
Hopefully, because this strikeout per walk ratio is really ugly.
Atrocious.
It's really ugly.
It is pretty atrocious.
I'd rather you throw 94 and not walk people than 99.
1,000%. 10 times out of 10.
And now the last guy on this list, guys, is one of my little favorite sneaky guys. I'm going to make a video about him soon. It's Adrian Hernandez. And the reason why is because, first of all, 23-year-old, nice young guy from Mexico. But this is the most interesting thing to me. He was in rookie ball last season and jumped all the way up to AAA. So every step along the way, look, the numbers weren't exactly flashy in AAA, but there was something along the way that made the coaches go, this guy's got something. Exactly. He's got natural talent. He's got raw stuff, right? He's got lots of good stuff on his fastball and his breaking pitches. And he just needs to command it a little bit more. That's the big note. Just need to get a little bit more command. But if he can figure that out, like, this guy's a good bullpen piece.
Exactly, dude. And similarly to some of the other guys here that we're talking about, very good strikeouts. I think he was flirting with a 13 right there, like over the course, like 13 per 9 or close to it, 12 and a half, excuse me. But still, really good stuff. And like you're saying, man, it's one thing to look at the numbers on a screen, on a page. It's another thing to be there in AA, be the coach, and say, hey, this guy has something special. What I'm coaching, he's above and beyond. He's got to go up. He's got to learn from somebody better.
He's also got to face better competition, right? Because if he's dominating, or it looks like his stuff could be dominating another level, that could be honestly sometimes guys don't just dominate with the stats and level, and that makes him upgrade. It's just like exactly what you're saying. Like, he's just too advanced. We got to get him some better competition.
Some older competition, dude. So like, definitely a dude that you want to pay attention to come spring training. Comment down below, guys. What is the prospect other than Rickey Tiedemann that you are most excited to see, guys? Spring training is on its way. I am very excited and stoked, guys. Baseball's coming back.
I love it, guys, and we'll be sure to go live for a lot of spring training games, and as well, of course, the regular season games. But guys, let us know in the comments what you think. Let us know of any prospects. And guys, make sure to $3 a month to become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to all of our current Patreon members. You guys can also become a YouTube member too, so check out our channel and join our community.
Thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays, go!